Got me a good jacket. Yeah, it does with the water, man. As long as it's not windy and rainy, I'm good.
All right, let's open it up.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Pat said that Eli wasn't necessarily as accurate as he's been earlier in the season against Virginia. What did you notice from him in that game?
I actually, man, he had a really great week of practice. Probably the best week of practice he had really in the last 4 or 5 weeks. When it comes to just like being consistent, committing to every throw. Shoot, the first 2 days I think it was like over 80% practice. So, it was a little frustrating. I think the slow start. When you're getting penalties and you're getting backed up. So, you come out wanting to run it, and next thing you know, we're backed up, we run a draw and take it down, and they don't go anywhere. And so now you're putting the ball in his hands a little bit earlier, as a young guy. And, I feel like this game, in the last couple games, we were prepared for what they were going to do. And he was prepared. And I thought he made a lot of great reads, and, he just, some throws you just got to step into and trust it and let it rip. And and that's what's frustrating is that he knows he can make those throws. He's made them all early in the year, and he knows that he can do those throws. So that was the most frustrating thing for him. He knew that that if he makes 2 or 3 of those throws, man, it could change the game.
Was the plan going into that game to try to run the ball a little bit more to ease your offense into what you guys are doing?
Yeah, that's kind of been what we want to do is stay balanced. I think ever since we kind of lost the left side the Cal game in the first quarter, we've been just trying to find our 5 best guys, and we've struggled running. I thought the game right after that, those 2 games. So just trying to get that part of the offense going, and also him knowing that that we're probably going to have to run him. We were having to run him a little bit more too, just to help out with the run game, with the numbers to try to create an advantage. So we want to be balanced. We want to stay balanced. But when you're playing first and long, second and long, and third and long, it's hard to keep the run game going, and getting behind. So that's why we got to get ahead of people. That's why early this season we were getting up on teams, and able to play our game, and lately, man, we've been getting behind and getting behind the sticks too. You look at the first 5 or 6 games of the season. I think we were number 1 in the conference in third downs, the less third downs played. So we weren't playing many third downs because we were very positive on first and second down. And that's where we've struggled on first down. Really, last 3 games, our output on first down has been less than 4 yards, whether that's the penalties or whatever. So we got to find a way to get positive plays on first down, which you look at the drives that we scored last game, that's what we did, and we were able to move the ball. So we just got to get back to doing the little things right.
When you made him the starter early in the season in training camp, did you expect days like this? I mean, have to expect maybe some growing pains with the redshirt freshman quarterback?
Oh, 100%. Definitely when you don't become the guy until the week of the game, technically. He's still a young kid that he hasn't went through the whole offseason as the guy. As the number 1 guy who's getting all the reps in spring, all the reps in summer, building those reps with the starting receivers. He became the guy the week of the first game. So with how hot he was playing, in the second half of the games, and really I thought North Carolina, she almost threw 400 yards. I thought he played really well that game. When you look at it, as a young kid, defenses are always going to try to figure out, what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? And the one thing that they usually do to young quarterbacks, and I thought he handled it awesome as early in the year, is that they blitz you, right? And he handled the blitz awesome their first 6 games, and then it's like, okay, the blitz isn't really working when you blitz him, right? Because he gets rid of the ball and he makes plays. So now it's like, okay, now he has a whole different mindset of how do I beat the defense when they're playing a million different coverages and dropping 8. And so now he's having to take his mental game to another level of playing a quarterback at an efficient, mind level. And he works on it every day. He knows there's things he can work on. And like I said, last game I thought he played that way. Then obviously you got to make the throws, but I think he's getting better and better every week because he's getting different things. Experience is experience. So when you go through a whole off season where you're the guy and you've already gained that experience, another year under his belt, he's going to be even better players because then he'll be able to react to things, and no matter what he sees on film during the week, he will be able to go out there and play fast because he's had the experience of seeing that before.
Are you getting that drop 8 more often than not?
Yeah, I think ever since the Cal game, you lose Branson and Jacoby the first drive, and Jacoby's, if you go by camp, like him and Branson were playing the best up front during camp. I mean, they were our 2 best linemen during camp. And obviously, I think early in the season, Jacoby's still dealing with the ankle injury. We basically held him out last week just to try to give him 100% healthy. Like he's been trying to play on it the last 3 games, but we ends up having to take him out in the first quarter, first half because he ends up re-injuring it. So when you lose the whole left side, and we're trying to find more experienced guys, we're not going to just keep playing the same guys. Because my opinion is we got some tough games coming up, and if we just keep doing the same things over and over again, we're not getting better. So, we're giving some guys some chances that haven't played a lot of football. They don't have a lot of experience. A lot of these guys, like Isaiah, first game ever playing in college football, really, last game. To me, we got to find our 5 best guys right now with what we're going through with the injuries. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're going to try to find our 5 best. And as an offensive line, man, you got to be cohesive. Cohesiveness matters. We had those 5 guys through all camp, all through the first half of the season. And now we're trying to get that bond back. And we just got to find the best 5 that can help us go be successful.
Are those procedure penalties and stuff, is that just part of when you experiment and putting you guys in place? That's just something you have to understand that's just a risk you're going to have to take when you have so many new moving parts in there?
Yeah, definitely up front, when it is the offensive line, you got new guys who don't have the experience of playing the first 5 or 6 games. So the game might be a little faster. You got obviously the crowd and everything going on. And when you're young, you're thinking a lot and you're trying to play right. So, some of the guys that have been playing, that came in and played, it's their first time playing, like Enos and them. So they're having to grow up fast, and be able to calm down and play at a high level. But now the receiver stuff is not acceptable. Like we weren't doing that early in the year. And that's last game, that was what was frustrating for me, was we weren't focused in that part. Like we haven't had any illegal formations hardly, like jumping off sides at the skill player positions. We weren't doing that early in the year. And I think that's the stuff that we got to fix, because that's just focus. Definitely for a bunch of vets that we were playing, those vets can't be doing that stuff.
Do the drops that the receivers have had, those kind of fall into the same category of not enough focus?
We had more drops last game than we've had probably all year combined, which is frustrating. And now some of them got negative, didn't matter because of the penalties. But if we don't get those penalties, a couple of those could have been explosive plays, like a touchdown, and then the first drive we hit, Raphael down the sideline. We've got to focus, and we've got to start faster. Like we can't worry about getting a rhythm. The way to get in a rhythm is do the little things right. And we got to go out there and make plays early in the games and give ourselves confidence. Definitely when you got a young quarterback and a bunch of new linemen, that we're trying to figure out, like we got to create confidence early in games. And so I got to find ways, whether it's easy throws or easier ways to get positive plays so we can get confidence. Because once we get first downs, I feel like we play with confidence, And but we can't have that. Not with the group that we have. They're too talented, and they work too hard. Those guys that did drop some balls, like they stay after practice every day and catch balls. So that's the most frustrating thing. It's not like they're not putting the work in. So, but I think they'll come back this week, and I think they're going to make this plays.
There might have been some extenuating circumstances, but you probably didn't expect a delay game penalty like you had on Saturday.
Yeah, that was second half. Obviously, Nate's first time playing in a game, right? I'll take that one. I was we had a play call on, and I want to change protection for him. And obviously the certain at 15 seconds the thing goes off, right? So trying to get his attention to the sideline to change the protection. He's just got to also look at the clock and run up there and get it to change. So we actually worked on that today. We had one of those times where, hey, you got to make sure be ready to change protection when we're trying to get the right protection to help the line out.
Are you still going fast like you were doing earlier this season?
We're trying to. You can't go fast when you're getting negative plays and penalties, right? The clock stops. You're backed up on the sticks, right? Then you don't want to put the line and put the quarterback in a bad situation by going fast when your defenses are pinning their ears back and rushing the quarterback. Now, a couple of times last week, we got a first down and then injuries happened on the other team, right? So they kind of stopped us from getting in rhythm and going fast, which was, I guess it happened, that's college football, right? But it's on us, man. Like if we get positive plays, we can play fast, whether it's 3 yards, 4 yards, even if it's 2 yards, right? But what we can't have is penalties and a 2-yard loss or a 5-yard loss, right? You can't play in rhythm. You're never going to be able to play fast. So another thing is sometimes we're not playing as fast because we're trying to help the quarterback out a little bit with all the different coverages we're getting. Like I think it's a sign of respect. You know, when you got teams that are really talented like SMU, to come out there that played a lot of man versus a lot of other people against Duke all game, and they play versus us, and they're playing a lot of zone coverage, drop 8. That means they respect our players. That means they respect our quarterback, and they respect our scheme throwing the ball down the field. So last game, you know, there were some times where we shifted more and looked and didn't motion as fast, just so we can give a picture to the quarterback, so you know, see what coverage they were in. But and I thought he did a great job of seeing what coverage it was and trying to execute.
Do you feel like, you know, as some of the offensive struggles over the past few weeks sort of mounted, do you feel like guys, you know, particularly Eli, but the whole offense, start pressing a little bit, trying to solve all the issues in one play? I think of the pass that he threw in the dirt at Canate, where he seemed to be open. Do you feel like he just looked at that like, I've got to make this play, and then he, you know, puts it in the dirt?
100%. You know, I think when you're young, man, you had the success that he has. I mean, think about it, his first 6-7 games is one of the best starts in probably the history of college football. You know, as a redshirt freshman, not many redshirt freshmen have started that well and early in the season, man. And you know, obviously 7-0, and just understand that as a quarterback, you know, nothing's, you know, you're going to have up and downs. Definitely as a young quarterback that's, you know, that don't have a lot of experience, teams are going to try to do things that they don't think that you don't do well, and things that they maybe need to try to see if it works, right? And so, you know, him just understand that I don't have to make every play. You know, I feel like sometimes, you know, when you have a big game like he had, you know, now it feels like, okay, put the ball in my hands, just let me go win the game, right? And sometimes you got to understand that, you know, you got to beat the defense with your mind, you know, and you got to be willing to just be patient. You know, we talk about patience all the time in our room, right? Really good quarterbacks, man, they play in rhythm, they don't hold to the ball, and they're patient. They take what they give you, and then once you do that, defenses have to be aggressive. You know, so him just understand that part, that hey, you know, not everything's going to be a big play, not every call is going to be perfect, but how do I make that call a positive play, right? Because if we can stay in positive down and distance and create, whether it could be throwing the ball away, it could be throwing a 3-yard check down and the guy gets tackled, right? You know, if we can stay in positive down distance, then our whole offense, we can run our whole playbook.
Hey, can I get a
Yeah,
couple
we'll get a couple
Yeah.
more in.
Does anything about Dez's success surprise you at this level?
Nah, I knew it from when I recruited him in high school. He stepped on campus at FCS school and he was the best player on the field. You know, and it wasn't just because he's so fast and all that. It's just, you don't realize how tough he is, man, and how powerful he is, and actually how football smart he is. I mean, that kid knows the protections as good as the quarterbacks. You know, he can run routes like a receiver, and he's just a playmaker. I think he's the type of kid that, you know, when you need a big play, makes them. You know, like the swing pass. I mean, it was man to man. He made an unbelievable catch behind him and creates a big play, which we end up scoring. You know, the run that he bounced, you know, which he was real patient. That was a huge play in the game. I mean, we going down to score that drive. So if you look at when we had success, I mean, this year he's created big plays. You know, like if you watch early in the season, like we scored a lot of drives because he's the one that created a lot of times a big play. And I just think he has a knack for making plays, and I just think he plays with a chip on his shoulder. And you know, those are the guys I love to coach, you know, because they're never satisfied. Like no matter how he plays, like he's always, you know, frustrated when he's like, man, I could have ran this ball better, or man, I could have hit this hole better. And now up front, sometimes, I mean, you know, we talk about running the football, but like, I mean, there was a time where we gave him the ball last game, which I think was going to be a big run on 3rd and short, and we whiffed up front, which made him bounce it to the front side, and we got a negative run. Like if we just stay a hat on a hat there, I mean, he probably creates another big run for a touchdown, in my opinion. So, you know, he's one of those kids, though, he never makes excuses. He just says, hey, I got to do better, and that's what I like about him.
You mentioned, forgive me for not being that well versed in Western Carolina's history. I mean, but with the portal, and I asked Pat this, you know, has the portal dried up opportunities for FCS guys? Are there fewer ones to go make the leap that Dez has made? Just because if I want to go get a depth guy or whatever, I can get like the backup guard at school X, conference Y, as opposed to maybe going down to FCS and developing a guy.
Yeah, I just think it depends on what you're looking for. You know, I think there's players everywhere. You know, it don't matter what level you play at. You know, I was at Division II and we had 6 guys go to NFL from Division II school. You know, we had a guy get drafted. You know, multiple guys. So like for me, I mean, the highest paid nickel in the NFL, Kenny Moore, was at Valdosta State. You know, for the Colts. So like, I just think, you know, when it comes down to it, sometimes it's better to take a guy maybe from FCS that's played in 2-year starter, 3-year starter that has a lot of film that showed that he can play the game, you know. Sometimes you take guys that are on the practice squad or they're not really playing and you really don't know what you're getting, you know. Why are they not playing, you know? Could it be on the field, off the field? So I think it just depends on your team, you know, like what are you looking for? You know, like, you know, you want to make sure that when you do bring in transfers in, I really believe on offense, like you want to make sure that they're going to come in and make an impact and they're going to play. You know, nothing's worse than bringing a transfer in and if he's not playing a lot, you know, when you got young guys that you could be playing. So I just think, you know, as a program, you just got to be smart about who we bring in and obviously guys that can make an impact and help us win, which I think, you know, from last year to this year, I think we have. You know?
You didn't have to talk Pat into, because like Pat has talks about, you know,
Yeah.
if I have a choice between a guy that's 6'2" and a guy that's this
Yeah.
size, as a coach, I mean, I'm going to gravitate towards
Yeah.
the bigger player, right? Did you have to talk him into Des at all?
Not really, just because the film popped off. You know, like if he was a kid that didn't play, you know, like maybe he was on practice, you know, as a backup or one, it's different. But when he's that dominant of a player, I mean, you know, like it's not just what he did versus FCS schools. I mean, you know, you pull up the Georgia Tech film as a freshman, he had 150 total yards. You know, so he showed that he had the ability to make explosive plays. Now, could you believe how consistent he's been as just, you know, an every down back almost and being great in pass pro and returning punts and all that stuff? I mean, we didn't let him do that at Western because, you know, we needed him that bad to code it a lot. So, but, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, I think Coach Dedues does a great job of finding guys that fit our culture, right? Like what he wants, what he believes in, what we believe in here at Pitt. Like we find guys that fit that culture. And I think that's why we've had such a drastic year from last year to this year was we found the right guys in the portal that fit the culture, that fit how we want to play on offense and defense. And, you know, the offense is different than in the past, right? So, yeah, there's going to be times where, you know, size and things like that, like, I just want football players, you know? I want guys that can help us win. And so we're always going to have those conversations and just find the best players that fit what we do.
Coach, thank you very much. Good?
Well, I was just gonna ask, what did you make of Nate's performance and how did you try to work with him this week to improve upon that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, once he got settled down, I thought he played really well. We had a couple drops when he was in there. I think the first pick that he had, he'd want to have back. I mean, you're talking about he was really frustrated because we got the perfect look, the perfect play, and he knew it, he saw it, and he knew he was just late. You know, like if he just throws that ball earlier down the middle of the field, we have what we wanted there to Raphael. He was open down the middle of the field. We just threw it late, and he knew that. You know, and that's the great thing about Nate is that, you know, he's a smart football kid. He knew that he was late, and I told him, hey, if you're late, just check the ball down because we had the tight end open too. So, you know, the great thing about Nate is he learned from it throughout the game. He took, you know, we went down and scored when we needed to get us back in the game. And the 2-point play obviously was a great play too by him by finding Gavin in the back of his zone. You know, obviously didn't count, but you know, just for him, he's a guy who, you know, he don't get a lot of the reps during the week. You know. So for him, with the game plan stuff that we had in, you know, we try to keep it a little bit more simpler when he was in there. Just because he didn't get those reps, you know. So, you know, and that kind of, you know, shrinks your playbook a little bit of what you can call. But for him, man, he's a type of kid that he's a process-driven kid. So, you know, the more reps he gets, you know, the better he's going to play because he needs those reps.
Coach, thank you very much.
Appreciate you.